My 9-year-old handed me a letter from my parents. Be gone before we return. I was flipping pancakes when I heard the soft shuffle of small feet on the stairs. Grace appeared in the doorway, still wrapped in her pink pajama set, curls tangled from sleep. She was holding a single sheet of paper with both hands like it might bite her. "Mom," she said carefully, studying my face before speaking again. This was on the counter. I dried my hands and took it. The handwriting was instantly familiar. Precise, tidy, controlled. My mother's. "Jessica, we think it's time you and Grace find another place to live. Please have everything moved out before we return from Bella's on the 28th. We'll go over the details when we're home." Mom and Dad. I read it once. Then again. Then a third time, as if the words might rearrange themselves into something kinder. Grace was watching me closely. "Is it bad?" I glanced at the kitchen calendar. December 22nd. My parents had left that morning to spend Christmas week with my sister Bella. They'd be home on the 28th. 6 days. "They want us to move," I said evenly. My voice sounded strange, too calm, too steady. The kind of calm you manufacture when your child is looking at you and you refuse to let her see you crumble. Her eyes widened. "Move where?" "We'll figure that out," I replied, forcing a small smile. "We always do." The truth was, I had no idea. I hadn't moved into my parents' basement because I wanted to. 8 months earlier, I'd lost my job unexpectedly. Rent became impossible. They offered the basement apartment temporarily, while I found something stable. It wasn't much. A separate entrance, 1 bedroom, a tiny bathroom, a kitchenette barely big enough for a toaster and coffee maker. But it was ours. Grace decorated the walls with her drawings. We made movie nights out of the old couch. I paid my parents $600 a month. Every month, while juggling freelance gigs and job applications. They hadn't complained. Not until Bella reappeared. Bella, my older sister, had always been the polished one. The one with the glossy holiday cards and carefully curated life updates. She married well, moved 3 states away, bought the big house with white trim and a 2-car garage. 2 kids. Perfect husband. Perfect lawn. This year she decided she wanted our parents for Christmas. An entire week at her beautiful home with her beautiful family. Grace and I weren't included. My mom mentioned it casually 2 weeks ago, as if it were a minor scheduling detail. "Bella's invited us for the week. It'll be so wonderful to spend real time with her and the kids. You understand, right?" Of course I understood. I told Grace we'd have our own Christmas. A cozy one. Just us. I didn't know that while they were sipping cocoa in Bella's spotless kitchen, they expected us to pack up and vanish. I looked back at the note. "We'll discuss details when we're back." Not, "We'll help you transition." Not, "Take your time." Not even, "We're sorry." Just, "Be gone." Grace tugged on my sleeve. "Are we in trouble?" "No," I said immediately. "You didn't do anything wrong." "Then why do they want us to leave?" I hesitated. There wasn't a child-friendly explanation for rejection. "Sometimes adults make choices that only make sense to them," I said quietly. "This is one of those times." That afternoon I turned into a machine. I called apartment listings. I refreshed rental sites. I scribbled numbers onto the back of an old envelope. With my freelance income, $900 a month was my absolute ceiling. And even that would be tight. The cheapest place I found was $1,100. Available January 15th. 3 weeks too late. Christmas week meant offices were closed. Leasing agents were out of town. Voicemails stacked up. Every answer felt like a door closing softly in my face. By evening, I stared at my phone for a long moment before dialing my parents. Rang. Neither of them picked up. I left messages anyway. Measured, respectful, almost painfully polite. "I found your note. Can we please talk about this? I just need a little more time. Please call me back." They never did. By Christmas Eve, the silence had an answer of its own. Grace and I stayed downstairs in the little basement apartment that suddenly didn't feel like ours anymore. I set up our small artificial tree in the corner and wrapped the modest gifts I'd managed to buy. We baked sugar cookies from a mix and let them cool on paper towels because I couldn't find the proper rack. We made it warm. We made it ours. She fell asleep halfway through a movie, curled against my side on the couch. I brushed her hair off her forehead and watched her breathe. That's when something shifted in me. It wasn't rage. Rage burns hot and fast. This was colder, sharper. Clarity. My parents had chosen Christmas week, while they were celebrating at Bella's picture-perfect house, to tell their own daughter and granddaughter to disappear. I reached for my phone. On the first of every month, $600 transferred automatically from my account to theirs. Quietly, reliably, like clockwork. I opened my banking app and canceled the automatic payment. Then I sent a text. I got your note. We'll be out by the 28th. I've canceled the rent payment effective immediately. You won't receive anything for December. Consider it compensation for 6 days' notice. I didn't expect a reply. I didn't get one. The next 4 days were a blur of phone calls and pride swallowed whole. I reached out to former coworkers, posted in neighborhood groups, messaged acquaintances I hadn't spoken to in years. I asked for short-term rentals, sublets, anything. On the 26th, someone I barely knew messaged me. A friend of a friend had a small house sitting empty. The last tenant had left suddenly. It needed paint and minor repairs, but it was available immediately. $800 a month. I drove over that afternoon. The place wasn't impressive. The cabinets were outdated, the walls scuffed, the yard uneven. But it had 2 bedrooms. A small backyard. Windows that let in real light. A front door that locked. It felt like possibility. I signed the lease that night. On the 27th, Grace and I packed every belonging we had into my car in a borrowed truck. We scrubbed the basement clean. Every surface, every corner. I left the keys on the counter. And a note. We've moved out as requested. Please don't contact us. My parents returned on the 28th. That evening my phone rang. Jessica, my mother said, her voice tight with confusion. We're home. Where are you? We moved, I replied evenly. Like you asked. Well, we needed to talk first, she said quickly. About how this arrangement was going to work. I let the silence stretch. You left a note telling me to be gone before you got back, I said. I'm gone. What's left to discuss? You didn't pay December's rent, she snapped. You gave me 6 days' notice. Over Christmas. That's not how this works, she said, her voice rising. You can't just decide not to pay. I can when I'm told to vacate in 6 days while you're celebrating at Bella's house, I replied. Pause. We weren't evicting you, she said stiffly. We were encouraging you to find your own place. With 6 days' notice, I repeated. We thought you needed motivation. Motivation? I echoed. You were getting too comfortable, she said. We wanted you focused on getting back on your feet. I closed my eyes, steadying myself. I was paying you rent. I was freelancing. I was job hunting. I was raising my daughter. What part of that looked unfocused? You were relying on us, she insisted. I was renting your basement, I said. That's not reliance. That's tenancy. She didn't answer. You didn't treat me like a tenant, I continued. You treated me like a burden you were waiting to shake off. That's not fair, she said. What's not fair, I replied quietly, is leaving a note for your daughter and granddaughter during Christmas week telling them to be gone while you spend the holiday with Bella's family. The line went silent for several seconds. Finally she spoke. Bella thought it might be good for you to be more independent. And there was. Not their idea. Bella's. And there it was, I said quietly. Bella. Bella doesn't even live here anymore. She doesn't get a vote on whether I can rent your basement, I continued. Why does she think she does? She's worried about you, my mother replied. She feels like you're not pushing yourself hard enough. I let out a short, humorless laugh. Bella hasn't called me once in 8 months. Not once. But she has strong opinions about my life. She's your sister, Mom insisted. She cares. If she cared, I said evenly, she would have picked up the phone. Instead, she convinced you to push me out during Christmas. We did not push you out. Yes, I said. You did. And I hung up. The next day my dad called. His tone was softer. Measured. The peacekeeper. Jessica, your mom's really upset. This wasn't supposed to blow up like this. How was it supposed to go? I asked. We thought you'd talk to us. Sit down. Make a plan together. You left a note, I reminded him. You didn't ask for a conversation. You gave a deadline. He exhaled heavily. The note was badly written. It was very clear. I said. Out by the 28th. We're out. Pause. Where are you staying? I found a place. Another pause. Can we see Grace? No. Silence again, thicker this time. Don't punish her because you're upset with us, he said quietly. I'm not punishing her, I replied. I'm protecting her. From what? From the message you just sent, I said. That she's welcome when it's convenient. That Christmas with Bella's family mattered more than Christmas with her. That's not what we meant. It's what you did. 3 weeks passed. Nothing. Then my mother texted. We'd like to see Grace. Maybe take her for ice cream? I didn't respond. Another message followed. Jessica, please. She's our granddaughter, I typed back. He's my daughter. And you made it clear she wasn't a priority. You don't get to choose Bella for Christmas and then show up later because you miss her. My mother called. I let it ring. She left a long voicemail, defensive at first, then shifting into blame halfway through. I deleted it before it finished. Grace asked about them once. Why don't we see Grandma and Grandpa anymore? Because they hurt us, I said carefully. And I'm making sure they don't get the chance to do it again. She hesitated. But I miss them. I know, I said, pulling her close. Sometimes people we love make choices that aren't safe. My job is to keep you safe. Even from them. She nodded slowly. Okay. 7 months later, we're still in the little house. In February, I landed a full-time job. It's not glamorous, but it's steady. It pays the bills. Grace has her own room now. Poster she chose herself. A backyard where she rides her bike in circles with neighborhood kids. She laughs more. My parents send cards for holidays, birthdays, Easter. Store-bought messages with their names signed neatly at the bottom. I tuck them into a drawer. Grace doesn't ask about them anymore. Last month, my phone rang from an unfamiliar number. I answered before thinking. Jessica, my mother said. What do you want? I want to apologize. For what exactly? For the note. The timing. We didn't handle it well. Not for telling us to leave? Pause. We were trying to encourage you to be independent. You were trying to make Bella happy, I said. So she'd stop criticizing you. That's not. Yes, it is, I cut in. And until you can say that out loud, there's nothing to fix. I ended the call. Grace wandered into the room. Was that Grandma? Yes. What did she want? To apologize. Is she really sorry? I thought about it. I think she's sorry it didn't turn out the way she expected, I said. But I don't think she's sorry for doing it. Grace considered that. Then we don't need to see her. No, I said softly. We don't. She went back to her homework. I stayed there for a moment thinking about that note. The 6-day deadline. Christmas week. Bella's voice echoing through my parents' decisions. And then I thought about this house. The chipped cabinets. The backyard. The front door that locks. Grace's laughter drifting in from outside. The paycheck that arrives on time. The quiet. And I realized something unexpected. I didn't miss them. Not the way I thought I would. So tell me, did I go too far by cutting them off? Or did I finally do what I should have done all along? If this story resonated with you, follow for more real-life reflections and hard-earned boundaries.